Today we want to continue the chapter of fraction. As you know, we take the types of fraction: proper, improper, proper less than 1, numerator less than the denominator. Improper, it's greater than 1, the numerator greater than the denominator. For example, 6 over 4, proper 2 over 3. And I want to make a quick revision also about the definition of a fraction is a part of a whole. The terms of a fraction are numerator and denominator. The denominator should be always different than 0. We cannot find a fraction with denominator 0, but we can find a fraction with numerator 0. For example, 0 over 4, that means the fraction is equal to 4. Okay, but if I have the numerator equal to the denominator, for example 4 over 4, that's mean it's equal to 1. Now I want to continue the fraction. That is, there is two also kinds of fraction that are reducible and irreducible. I have two type of fractions. Okay, reducible and irreducible, and how we can distinguish between them and what is the difference between them, I will know it now. Fractions. We have two types of fraction. We have irreducible and reducible. I will explain for you now what is the difference between them. Reducible, irreducible, and irreducible. So reducible, that's mean the fraction can be divided also, and we can divide the fraction by a common divisor. So it can be divided. It can be divided. Irreducible fraction, it cannot be divided. It can't be divided. Okay. How we can distinguish between them? I want to tell you that is two types of irreducible. What are the two types? Let's see. Two types. What the meaning of irreducible? That's mean the fraction, it cannot be reduced anymore. How can I know? I have two ways. Maybe the two numbers are consecutive number. That's mean like 2, example, like 2 and 3. Then we can say about them irreducible. We can say about this fraction irreducible if it has two consecutive numbers. For example, if I have a fraction 2 over 3, that's mean it's irreducible. Is irreducible since, we can say, since 2 and 3 are two consecutive number, and their GCD, when they are consecutive number, I will remember you that GCD of two consecutive numbers is equal to 1. So I can say irreducible fraction when the GCD is 1, and we have two conditions to get a GCD 1. First one, if they are two consecutive, irreducible, that means cannot be divided, GCD is equal to 1. Okay. And the other way is if they are two relatively prime number. If the two numbers are relatively prime, we can say, and also their GCD is 1, since they are two relatively prime number. For example, if I have 1 over 5, we can say 1 and 5 are two relatively prime numbers. What the meaning of relatively prime numbers? That means there is no common between them, between their divisors, just they have in common the number 1. So if I want to find the divisors of 1, D1, or make the column method, it's all the same. We have 1. If I want to find the divisor of 5, we have 1 and 5. So the GCD between them is equal to 1. So we have two ways to get an irreducible fraction. If they are two consecutive numbers, we can say it's irreducible since the GCD is 1 and they are two consecutive numbers. If their GCD is 1 and they are not consecutive, so they should be two relatively prime numbers. What is the difference between reducible and irreducible? Reducible can be divided, irreducible cannot be divided. For example, reducible fraction. If I have, for example, 12 over 6 or 12 over 9, I can also divide it. I will choose a common divisor between them. The 12 can be divided by 3 and 9 also it can be divided by 3. Now I will get what? 4 over 3. And if you look to 4 over 3, now we can say that 4 over 3 is irreducible. Why? Since 4 and 3 are two consecutive or two relatively? Sure, it's consecutive number. So irreducible since 4 and 3 are two consecutive numbers. How we can say it in another way? Let's see now in my explanation to the lesson. How to simplify a fraction or how to reduce a fraction. To simplify a fraction is to find an equal fraction to the given one, smaller value with a smaller value. Like here, example, 100 over 40, we can divide it by 2, it's 50 over 20. Also, I can divide it more. I can divide it by 10 since it ends with 0. Here, I divide it by 3, I get 22 and 11. Also, I can divide it more. I can divide it by 11. I want to tell you something. There is a big difference between simplify and reduce. Reduce, it's to make it irreducible fraction. Simplify, I can divide it just one time. Okay? It's no need to get an irreducible. How to reduce a fraction? To make a reduce, we should use the two way. The first way is using the GCD. The second way is using a successive division. How we can find the GCD? I will tell you by using column method or divisor method. So they find here the GCD of 140, it will be 20. And here of 140, they make the successive division. That's we can find it in your books in page 51. So please move to your books, page 51. And let's read this agenda.